Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast. It's another Group 1 weekend for you, and all this before Goodwood and Galway week next week. And in fact, while we're on that, I can tell you we've got a couple of podcasts lined up next week. We are going to have a Monday podcast for you, previewing the first 3 days at the Goodwood Festival. That's going to be at 5 p.m. on Monday, and then Thursday, 1 p.m. to do the final couple of days, which are going to be absolute belters. So those are 2 podcast dates for your diary next week. Steve Jones, Charlie Poste, and Declan Rix complete the lineup for us this week, and we'll get stuck straight in. Let me just remind you that all the selections will be up on insights.matchbook.com for all the guys' selections. So head there and check out all the Insights posts across all sports as well. And if you're liking our content, give us a subscribe and a thumbs up as well, however you are watching and indeed listening to us. Right, on we go. We're going to start with the best race. It's not the biggest field, but nonetheless, it is the feature race. It's the King George, and Westover heads the betting for Rafe Beckett and Colin Keane, 2.52. 3.9 for the Oaks second, Emily Upjohn. Mischief is 4.7. Now the mount of James Doyle. Toccato Tasso, the Art winner, 12.0. Broome, 24.0. And Pile Driver, a Group 1 winner in his own right, is 34.0. Steve and I are terrifyingly in agreement. So we'll get our useless thoughts out of the way first of all. But Steve, you are at the top of the market here. Westover, just the best horse in the race and the one to beat?
Probably, but more of a process of elimination, to be honest, because I didn't think the 2 outsiders were probably good enough. I'd be surprised. The Art winner, Toccato Tasso. God, Bennett, this is a good start. I worried about the ground for him. Mischief, I think, is much better over 10 furlongs. And then Emily Upjohn. I must be the only person who didn't think that Emily Upjohn was particularly, well, certainly not as unlucky as some were making out. I know she slipped at the start, missed the break by about 3 lengths, but she raced in exactly the same position as Tuesday, who won the race. I thought it was the reason that Emily Upjohn probably got beat in the Oaks was because Frankie came very wide. Tuesday went up the inside. And although Emily Upjohn was travelling really well 2 out, Tuesday sort of got first run. And I thought that Frankie didn't really appreciate that Tuesday was that far over towards the far side and was the danger. I think he thought he had everyone covered and actually didn't. So I thought I didn't think the start was certainly as significant as some are making out. And I've just been really impressed with Westover. I thought it was a very, very good derby that Desert Crown won. And Westover should have been second, was desperately unlucky not to finish second. I don't think Westover would have beaten Desert Crown with a clear run, but it would have been interesting. And then just bolted up at the Curragh. And I thought the thing in the Irish Derby with Westover, the good thing was that Westover's a really strong traveller, but he was able to travel on and settle well enough on the front end, just sitting on the shoulder. And if he does that again, I presume Broome will make the running. And if he's able to get that position, although he has got stall 6, I think that's makes him the one to beat. It's very boring, unoriginal selection, but I just think he'll win. And he's such a nice, big, strong, really classy looking horse. I think there's plenty more improvement in him.
I don't have much to add, Steve. To be honest, I do think he's the best horse in the race. I do agree with Emily Upjohn. Westover was more unlucky in his race than she was in hers. I don't think Frankie got it right on Emily Upjohn on the day. I think Mischief wants Shorter to be at his very best. I think this is Westover's race. I think it's absolutely ideal for him. And I thought he might just be a little bit shorter, to be completely honest. However, there are 2 other gentlemen on this podcast who are looking elsewhere. So, Rick, I'm looking forward to Rick, you making the case for Mischief, because as Steve has said, I would agree with him. I do think he, even though he's a Shima Classic winner, he might just be better over 10. So why are you with Mischief?
Yeah, look, I think that's that I'd agree with that. I think he's still a top class horse over both distances, but definitely 10 is his optimum, isn't it? No doubt about that. But look, he was a good second to Adayar in this race last year. Didn't have the smoothest of passages either. I think he was 3 wide into the straight, and he was kind of clearly outstayed late. But they did go a fair old gallop that day, and it was only maybe in the final maybe 200 yards where he kind of started to wilt. I think if they won't go as strong today, or on Saturday, should I say, I don't think it's a stronger race either. So I just think he's the class act in the race. I really do. Tactically, I think it's probably worth mentioning. Broome probably the pace in the race. I don't think Westover will be too far away, and Pile Driver has made the run in the past, although I think he's better taking the lead. Broome is a horse who has got a very, very bad habit of being slowly away sometimes, and he's drawn in 1. If he does that here, there's maybe a small chance that he gets locked up in the early stages and there's no pace in the race. If that happens, I think it plays into a speed test, I think that's really going to suit Mishriff, if I'm being honest. So yeah, look, I'm just a serious fanboy of Mishriff. I love this horse. He's like, his CV is just ridiculous. It really is. He's tough. I thought he was gone at the game, maybe going into the Eclipse. I just couldn't believe the price he was. But he ran a cracker, and I think hopefully we'd all agree he was probably the moral winner on the day, given how the race panned out. But he still wasn't at his best, and he nearly won. The reason why I know he wasn't at his best is because David Egan gave him a squeeze kind of going past 4 out. When Mishriff is at his very, very best, he travels for fun. I'm hoping that race now, that was the Eclipse was his first run in a long time. This is the second one. We saw last year how much of a jump he took from the Eclipse to the King George. I'm hoping it'll be the same again. I'm hoping the ground stays quick. I'm hoping it'll turn into be a relative speed test to play to him. So I'm looking at him. There seems to be a theme this season with the 3-year-olds that they're unbelievably good. I just don't see it myself. I think Mishriff is very short. I saw Charlie was saying he was going to potentially lay him at a certain price. I agree with that. Not Mishriff, sorry. Westover. Sorry, I'm talking rubbish there. Yeah, talking. I don't think the 3-year-olds are as strong as everyone's making out to be. And with Westover, I would stay with him. He's a pretty scratchy mover in front. I would be a little bit worried about very quick ground for him.
Go on, Charlie. Then Rixie's introduced your thoughts nicely. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, the lay thing that we'll come to later is price related. If he ends up 2.25 or shorter, I'd be taking him on there. You know, for the reasons Rixie says, I'm not completely convinced the 3-year-olds are as good as people are saying. I also think there's an element, I'd like to see him do what he did in the Irish Derby again, even though I'm not sure the form of that race is that deep at all in any way, shape or form. And like I say, I'd just like to see him back that up once more. And then again, going back to what Steve said, I came down with Broome winning place in this race, but through a process of elimination. Westover ground, and the fact that I'm not completely convinced by the Irish Derby demolition job. Emily Upjohn, again, I'm not massively convinced that she was that unlucky in the Oaks, and also, you know, getting beat by Tuesday. I think Tuesday is very admirable, but I'm not sure she's a top class Group 1 filly in open company. Mishriff, I think, is an obvious danger, but I do, again, I think we all know he is slightly better at 10 furlongs. Torquato Tasso, a ground, you know, I think he'd be a big danger if there's a bit of cut in the ground, but it's going to be very quick. And his peak performances have been on really slow ground. And Pile Driver, I just don't think is good enough. Broome was very good in the Hardwick. There isn't a lot of pace. I mean, as Rixie says, maybe if he misses the kick, then that all goes up in smoke. But if he gets out the gate and Ryan's able to dominate and dictate fractions, I just think he's nailed on it. And again, 2 of his peak performances have been on fast ground. So for that reason and that reason alone, I've come down with Broome for Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore. Tom.
Yeah, and that's maybe, if he is the most likely, the pace angle, there is every chance he'll trade a bit shorter in the run, Charlie. Ryan Moore seems to be at the top of his game. He rode a lovely race from the front in a race at Ascot to win a Group 1. And would you consider maybe trading in the run, or would you just let it ride?
I mean, I would probably let it ride, but of course, I think if we get on beforehand at 16, 18.0, whatever, or 20.0, so then there's every possibility that then we can trade out in running if he gets an easy lead. I mean, there's no doubt if he's in front turning in, he's going to trade an awful lot shorter in the run, isn't he? I would imagine, and in which case you're left in hopefully a no lose scenario.
It's the feature race. Does anybody want to add anything else? Please feel free to do so. If not, we'll move on. Yes, Declan?
I'd give at the prices Pile Driver a little shout. I think a couple of things with him. I don't think he's actually ever really properly handled Epsom, even though he won there. When he won there last year, he just looked terrible up the straight. I thought when he ran in the Derby, I didn't think he handled the downhill section. And so I'm not sure Epsom's his track. We shouldn't forget I think one of his only runs here at Ascot when he won the King Edward, he was very impressive. And I think getting back to this course, I think taking the lead, that will all play to his strengths. So I just thought maybe he's going to be a huge price. I think with the sports books there, he's about 33. So, obviously in the exchange, you're going to get much bigger. He's probably worth just a little fiver at a big price. It's a good race. Can you imagine if we had Desert Crown in here? This would be an absolute belter. Yeah,
wouldn't it just on Pile Driver as well? I think he's really tricky, and he takes a bit of knowing. And in the Shima Classic this year, he wasn't best positioned. That was when Frankie was on board for the second time, and he's Martin Dwyer knows him really well. Obviously, he can't ride him. It'd be interesting to see how PJ McDonald gets on with him. But he's a tricky horse. I think trickier than sometimes we give him credit for. But he's got plenty of ability. Let's kick on. We're going to go back in time to the opener at Ascot. So this is the race for the juveniles. It is the Princess Margaret's Keeneland Stakes, and the 150 it is. Let me give you the prices there. We've got Lazoo at 2.98. Glen Laurel is 7.4. Kinter is 7.6. Palm Lily 9.2. Royal Charter 9.6. Breeders 10.5. Our bigger prices thereafter. I'll give you those if indeed we do get to them. Excellent. 4 different selections between us. Top of the market, Charlie, Lazoo. Did you put this filly up last time? I think you might have done.
Yeah, frustrating. Yeah, I did, Tom. Yeah, as in, look, I'm not saying that she was unlucky not to win, but she certainly had a chances compromised by being carried across the trap by Morge. And for me, I suppose the race is framed by whether you believe one of these fillies, Kinter, Glen Laurel, Royal Charter, has the ability to be group class. I mean, as it stands right now, I just feel Lazoo has by far the best form in the race, and she's got the others have got a massive jump to make to do that. Now, I'm not saying that's not possible, but it's whether you're going with proven quality or you're looking at one of these unexposed fillies that have only raced once or twice to make the step up and go beyond her. I'm not convinced on the bare form of what the others have done, and visibly from what I've seen that they have, and yeah, I really like Lazoo. I think she was excellent at Newmarket on a penultimate start. And she did everything bar win in the July festival, and at the price that she is, I actually think she's very backable at that sort of price, because, like I say, I think as it stands right now, she has a level of ability that's quite a long way clear of the opposition, and I don't see any reason why she can't progress a little bit further as well. Rafe Beckett's flying as well to add into the mix.
Lazoo at the top of the market. Rixie?
Yeah, look, I can see Charlie's case, definitely. She's, as the market suggests, she's the most likely winner. I just thought there was a couple of one-race horses here with big pedigrees that impressed on debut that were enough maybe to sway me at the prices. Pam Lily of Rafe Beckett's I thought was very impressive at Kempton, but I just gave the nod to Glen Laurel over her. This is a much deeper race, absolutely no doubt about it. But I loved what she did at Thirsk. She was green away from the stalls, very slow away. Conceded a lot of ground in a race that wasn't running a strong gallop. She was probably in the worst position tactically. But after that, then Kevin Stott kind of got her load of cover. I think she will have learned plenty racing among horses. But I just love the way she travelled so well. Even going deep past the 2-pole, she was still hard on the bridle. And once Kevin Stott gave her a squeeze, she picked up and quickened seriously well, and she hit the line like a seriously good filly. She's obviously by Lope de Vega, who's a top-class stallion, but her dam, Nada, was unraced, and she's from the family of Dubawi. So the pedigree is really there. So and I just like the way I just like the way Kevin Ryan handles some of his 2-year-olds. I know this filly, I think she made her debut around the week around Royal Ascot, but he never overfaces them. There's always a risk with those horses when they impress that they'll go to Ascot. Kevin Ryan takes his time and maybe heads to York in these places. So he's taken his time a little bit with this filly. I loved what she did on debut, and I'm just hoping that kind of pedigree with that run under her belt, that she'll shine. It was interesting that morning. I think she was backed from maybe about, I think it was maybe 10s into 6s, and she drifted on track out to 10s, and it was back into 9s. So even before the pre-race market, there was obviously a little bit of interest in her, which I thought was good. So yeah, no, I'm hoping Glenn Laurel can get the job done here.
Steve, you're looking away from the favourite. Are you sort of against Lazoo as such, or just think there's a more attractive price elsewhere?
Yeah, more attractive price. I think there's no doubt that Lazoo sets the standard. That's not to say that some of the others haven't got the potential to reach that standard. And the one that I think is very interesting is Royal Charter, because this is really not how William Haggis operates. It's not really how I operate, because I don't tend to like horses that go straight into group races after one run. But I'm going to make an exception with Royal Charter, because I thought she was really quite a taking winner on debut at Newmarket when she ran against the track bias there. You don't really want to be out the back in the early stages, and that's where she was. She was a little bit keen, but it was her first start. And once she got into a rhythm, she came home really well, very powerful in the finish. And she beat 3 horses that had already had a run. And I think that experience is a big, big help in these maidens and novice races. And like I say, it's not really how William Haggis operates. He tends to have his horses nowhere near wound up first time out. And the fact that she was able to win first time out, I think points to a very smart filly. And I'm expecting quite a chunk of improvement for that performance. I think also the stiffer track at Ascot will help Royal Charter. She's clearly going to stay a little bit further, but she's got the pace for this sort of distance. William Haggis has only run one filly in this race in the last 10 years, and that one won, albeit that she had a lot more experience than Royal Charter. And it might not be significant, but it's worth mentioning. I think that the horse that won the maiden that Royal Charter won at Newmarket last time on debut last year was won by Zane Claudette, who went on to win the Princess Margaret. So that maiden's got a little bit of a history of throwing up smart fillies. I think Royal Charter is definitely one of those, and I think she's going to be really competitive at this sort of grade. So I'm willing to take a chance, because she is quite a nice price. I think she's 9.0 or something like that. I think that's way overpriced. I think she'll go off a lot shorter. Win and play, Steve? No, I just fairly small stakes win. I think there's just too many in these 2-year-old races. There's too many variables, and I'm just happy to just go small stakes win on her, because I think she's one of those that she's definitely overpriced, and I think she's got a really good chance of winning. Right, I'll go a win and place on a filly that's slightly shorter, but that's Kinter. If I'm clutching at straws, I'd offer that all-weather form translates well to the straight track here at Ascot, and it does, but I think she's a 2-year-old, so I wouldn't read too much into that. She is one of the likely pace angles, I'd say. One thing she is pretty professional. She was last time. She didn't achieve much from winning last time. I did interview George Bowie earlier on in the week about her, and the thing that really caught my attention was his comments about what William Buick had said. Obviously, William Buick rides her. There's no Godolphin horse in the race, and they've teamed up a good bit together with success this year. But William obviously sits on a good deal of nice fillies like Charlie Appleby's yard, but he was very positive about this Kinter, and they're willing to pitch her up in grade. The fact that she's a win and place price interests me enough to have a small go at her, but it wouldn't be with a huge amount of conviction. Let's kick on to, ultimately the most pointless race of the weekend, but it's fun. I guessed and found the winner of this last year purely on the Tom Scudamore line, which I think Charlie has gone with this year. Zambak is... Yeah, that's the way to play it,
completely,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Tom Scudamore, yeah, he's the man for the 5 furlong sprint, jump jockey sprint. I think he's won it 2 times in the 4 runs they've had at this race. And And yeah, it's pathetic. But yeah, I think that was one of my major factors in it. So, but Valder Travers, he been improved hugely for the switch to Mick Appleby. I think is up £18 since the switch over, and was mightily impressive on his last start at Musselburgh. Absolutely blitzed him. I think the second from there has won twice since, and a significant rise, £8 rise, but has bags of speed. This horse, and I don't know, 16 is that a bit of a negative at York over this sort of trip? Maybe, but it's difficult to always know. But like I say, with the speed that this horse has, I don't think that's going to be a factor. He's pretty one-dimensional in his run style. It's going to be out the gate and catch me if you can. And yeah, Tommy Skoo, the sprint king. So yeah, that I just, it's like you say, it's a novelty race. This is not a hugely strong selection, but yeah, Tom Skoo with the trends and a trainer who's adept at transforming these sort of horses, and I just felt that Valder Travers' upward curve, if the race plays out right, that gets out and shows that speed on this sort of track, he could be tough to peg back, Tom.
Yeah, it's 8.2. Rixie and I are sitting this one out because I feel I would be guessing a little bit. I was also a bit short on time, and this was the race I chose not to get really stuck into. Steve, how strong is your view here, win and place?
Yeah, I don't think any race at York is pointless, to be honest.
No,
I think York being a little bit unfair. And if they want to sack you off for the Ebor meeting, I'm quite happy to step in because it's the best track in the country. But the interesting thing, Tom Scudamore's obviously got a good record in it, but so has Paul Midgley, who's another, he's an ex-jump jockey, but he's a very good trainer of sprinters, and he's won 2 of the last 4 since this race was invented, and he's got 5 runners, which doesn't narrow it down very much. But the one I like of his is Leodis Dream, who's ridden by Sam Twiston Davis. And Leodis Dream a few years ago looked like he was going to be very, very good. He won 5 on the bounce for David O'Mara. And then he's had a few stables since. He went to David Loughnane, then he went over to Ireland to Joseph O'Brien's, and he completely lost his form. But he was rated in the hundreds, and now he's rated in the mid-70s. So if Paul Midgley, who's very, very good at getting sprinters back somewhere near where they used to be, if he can do that, he's got potentially a very well handicapped horse on his hands. And I think the last twice, there's certainly been signs that Leodis Dream is on the way back, because he was second at Chester in quite a big field sprint from stall 10. Well, you have to show a lot of pace to get over from that stall at Chester. And that was a good performance. And he was it wasn't the worst field in the world, even though it was quite a average sort of sprint handicap. And at Doncaster last time, I just thought he bumped into 2 really informed horses in Dusky Prince and Primo's Comet. So I think this might just be his kind of race. I think he's got a lot of pace, so York should suit him if he can carry the weight, because of course none of these horses are used to lugging these sort of weights in races. If he can do that, I think it quite a nice price. Leodis Dream, winning place, could give us a run for our money.
Job done. Let me tell you about the sign-up offer. If you aren't aware of it already, it is the regular £30 welcome offer, and it's money back as a free bet if your first bet loses. To take advantage of this, and it is for new customers only, use the bonus code INSIGHTS30. That's INSIGHTS30. You place your first bet. If it loses, Matchbook will refund at your stake as a free bet up to £30. The full terms and conditions are on the Matchbook website. 18+. Be gamble aware. And as we've said on the podcast already, you are most likely to be getting better odds with the Matchbook exchange, the nature of the exchange. So if you fancy something, be it in any sport, well worth, if you don't have a Matchbook account, getting an account and having a go. Place a bet up to £30. And if it doesn't cop, then you get your stake back as a free bet up to that £30. So there you are. Okay, let's turn our attention back to Ascot. And a few of us agree with the Valiant stakes here, rather worryingly. Zambak is 2.9, Jumbly is 5.0, November is 5.5, Ascula 8.0, Kind Gesture 9.4, and then into the bigger prices. Who feels strongly about Zambak? Steve or Declan? You can raise a hand if you do. Yeah, go on, Rixie. Take it away.
Yeah. Look, I think she's probably one of my better fancied horses of the weekend. Tactically, looks like she's a hold-up horse. There's a bit of pace in the race here. I think November likes to usually go forward. Kind Gesture, Ascula, Snooze You Lose. So hopefully the race sets up well for her. She'll need a bit of luck because she's drawn in one. We'll have to see what way Ascot is set up. I think the last meeting, the Summer Mile meeting, they had a cutaway, didn't they? So that would probably help with her in terms of getting a run in the straight, because she's definitely going to need a little bit of luck in running. But look, I think she's marginally got similar. She's marginally just got the best form, I think, in the race. But she's one of the kind of few horses in the race that's on an upward curve. I found it interesting that, she's by Oasis Dream, who has got I think he probably cost about 20 million for to have an El Go of Oasis Dream there, but this filly made nearly $500,000 as a yearling. So I think physically, there's plenty to like about her as well, and she's got a good pedigree. I really like her. I just hope she gets that little bit of luck in the race. Jim Crowley's going to need to be brave, but there is pace in the race. It should suit her well. The Roger Varian team, it felt like it took a little while for them to get going this year, but they've been in really good order the last few weeks, and they remain in good order. So yeah, Zambak for me. I think she'll take a bit of late pegging back.
I don't have a huge amount to add. I think she's the best treated filly in the race. I mean, there were a few I was interested in, but then just looking back at her form, the way she goes about it, I think she's hugely interesting. I think that I don't really worry too much about one. I'd rather be there than wider, I'd say. But yeah, I know you can get trapped in a pocket, but it's not the longest straight. But I think she's the most improving filly in the race anyway, and hopefully she can rate a bit higher than this. And I'm not that keen on November. 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds got a good record in the race, but I just wondered if November potentially wanted a little bit more juice in the ground. And last time at Ascot, I wasn't sure she was absolutely in love with a quick surface. So Zambak for me. Jonesy?
Yeah, I think there's a few in here that wouldn't want the ground this fast. Jumbly, November, and a few others. And then there's the likes of Ascula, who for me is a 7 furlong horse, just chancing her arm a little bit. Like Rixie said, there's a lot of pace in here, so that makes me feel a bit more comfortable about stall one. Hopefully Jim Crowley will be able to slot in not too far off the pace. And she was ridden off the pace at Royal Ascot when she was second in the Sandringham, but I don't think she has to be particularly. She was ridden more prominently at Haydock in what was quite a small field. I just think she's very progressive. She has got to improve, though. That was only a handicap, albeit a very good one at Royal Ascot. But the counter argument there is, I don't think this is a strong Group 3 at all. There were some nice fillies in it. In the entries, and they've all come out, and I just don't see this as a strong race for the grade, and I think she's well up to the task. So with Roger Varian going really well at the moment, I think she'll be very hard to beat.
And Charlie?
Yeah, I completely agree with all of you guys about Zambak. I think she will be hard to beat. It just from a price perspective, I've come down with another improving filly at a much lower level from the same yard. In Kind Gesture, she's progressive racing. She wears a hood. She gets quite warm. Maybe she isn't that straightforward, but she demolished a weak field at Windsor on her last start, and she drawn in 2. There is pace in the race, but it's all outside of her. So I don't see a scenario with Zambak being inside of her that she isn't going to get on the lead on the fence. And yeah, like I say, just at 9.0, 10.0, I don't know what we're offering, Tom. I just thought, from a win and place perspective, she could be the one to follow Zambak home. At worst, I went down through it myself. Jumbly's got the, I think, first time tongue strap on. You're questioning whether she's really trained on. November, again, I completely agree. I think wants slower conditions to be at her best. And a schooler looks exposed. And as Jonesy said, probably better at 7. And beyond that, the ones at much bigger prices, I just couldn't really see being good enough. And Kind Gesture just has a profile that she is improving a lot with racing and coming forward quickly, much as that she lacks experience. But she will be able to, I think she'll be able to lead. And like I say, on that rail, I just thought that, like I say, she offered an alternative to Zambak, and worst case could be one for the forecaster to follow her stablemate home.
Yeah, 9.4 is Kind Gesture. 9.4. You're hoping she hits the front. Is that winning place? Probably.
Yeah, winning place, definitely.
Yeah,
and again, it could be again if she, as you said with Broome, mate, if she turns in front and is travelling strongly, she's quite a free goer. She might trade a bit shorter in the run as well, you know.
Yeah, you'd be expecting around about 3.0 for a place there, first 3 anyway. That's us done with the Valiant. We move on. We're going back to York, and this is the Dash Handicap, another big field handicap. Couple in agreement here as well. So Silver Ross Samurai 6.4, Gale Force Mire 7.6. We'll come back to Gale Force Mire. Nationwide 9.6, Mondamedge 9.4, 9.8 Lucky Man, Aberama Gold has shortened up a touch actually, 9.2, Venturous 10.0, bigger prices the rest. Okay, Gale Force Mire for a couple of you. Straight back at you, Charlie.
I found this, first of all, very, very tough, this race, as in there are a lot of sort of what I thought were fairly sort of horses that were struggling for solid form. And Gale Force Mayor is the complete polar opposite to that. You know, she was impressive on her penultimate start at York. I think the 2nd and 3rd have come out and won subsequently. And then she probably stepped forward. And if not stepped forward, she at least followed that up with a very solid run behind Flotus in a Group 3 back at the track. A lot of the fancied horses are all drawn around her. Michael Dodd's a little bit short on winners over the last fortnight, but they've been running okay. And yeah, just for me in a race where plenty of them were struggling for recent form, she just seemed a very solid option. I can't see that she isn't going to be there or thereabouts in this contest. A couple of others that I thought were interesting were Lucky Man, maybe, you know, he ran well at York again on his last start. Cheap Pieces on, which is an interesting addition, but he just tends to get behind and stays on when it's too late. And so he was the other one that I was sort of thinking about. But Gale Force Mayor, I just think is very solid. And she's drawn in 6. And a lot of the fancied ones in this are all drawn in single figure stalls all around her. So I just thought she's very solid, very likable, and improving. Even though she's a 6-year-old, she seems to be getting better and better.
Imagine if Torquato Tasso was drawn in a single-figure stall. I mean, Jonesy would have no hope.
Yeah.
Just
our commentary skills would not be good. But, yeah.
Just an arc winner. Can't pronounce his name, Jonesy.
Yeah. So that's all it is. Rixie, how are you? All right, Rixie? I think you've got 2 horses you're putting up in big field handicaps. Scenes.
Yeah, I know. It's very unlike me. But I'm with Gale Force Maya as well. I think Charlie summed up her chance pretty well there. I'd maybe want just a little bit bigger because, you know, while she has improved this year, winning off 104 is going to be a tough task for her. Look, I think the main thing is always with me with York. I'm always looking for York form, and she loves this place. You know, she's a very likable filly. She kind of gets out the stalls well, gets into stride quickly, travels strongly, and she really does find for pressure. I'd love kind of one of the main reasons that I liked her there because she's forward going. There didn't look a whole lot of pace on in the race, so I think tactically she's going to be in a better position than most. But I'd love for something to go out kind of hard, steal a few lengths and leave her just sit on a horse's quarters there and just travel away and maybe kind of get first run on the field. So Gale Force Maya, just hoping again that York kind of form that comes to the fore again.
I'm with a horse who has got a bit of form at the track in the form of Aberama Gold. It is a course and distance winner, and then I thought was particularly unlucky at the track in May when Dakota Gold won the race. We know that form has worked out pretty well. And then conversely was slightly disappointing subsequent to that. Now that was a Sunday series race. It was pretty strong for the grade. since then, I've had one more go at the horse. That was dropping in grade at Ayr, or when in a Class 3. The two I mentioned before were Class 2s, and was just done late on. I'm convinced that this is the track that suits. This is what he wants. I've given up trying to second guess the draw on the straight track at York. I get it wrong every time. And he's just an interesting enough price to play at around about double figures. So, although, as I say, shortened up to 9.2 a touch, but that's fine. Win and place. He isn't the most reliable, but he's the horse in the race that wouldn't surprise me, particularly given he's back at York, where he'd go on and win this. So I will go small stakes, win and place, Aberama Gold. Steve Jones.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to this race because I think Atomic Lady has got a really good chance at a big prize. And I'm the same. I like York form, and Atomic Lady won a nursery last summer over this course and distance, and then a couple of starts later went to the Ebor meeting and was beaten a neck by Ever Given in that valuable sales race where she showed a huge amount of pace, and I think it suits her, York. Tim Easterby trains this filly, and he's a man that's got a good record at York. He's got a good record in this race. He won it a couple of times a few years ago with the same horse, Flying Pursuit. And although he runs 3 or 4 in this, I think Atomic Lady off 8 stone 2 is very interesting on that form. If you consider, so she was taking £5 off Ever Given, who won a listed race and is now rated in the 108 or something, and Atomic Lady's off the high 80s, and she came back first time out this season, ran midfield at York and over this course and distance in a race won by Harry 3, which was red hot. That was a really good race. Lucky Man was in there as well, and who finished second, but that was a good starting point. Then in 2 starts since, I think that's why Atomic Lady's such a big price, because she hasn't run very well, but she tried 7 furlongs in a listed race at Carlisle, was caught wide and didn't stay. And then last time at Newmarket in a really hot race won by Lethal Levi, which has got a real history of throwing up good sprinters. Atomic Lady was really poorly drawn in stall 2. So I didn't think that was too bad at all. Back at York, 3 runs under her belt this season. I would have preferred a better draw. She's in stall 2 again, but like you say, it's hard to guess the draw sometimes at York, and I just think she's got a lot of pace, so she should be okay wherever she's drawn, to be perfectly honest. And I just think she's got the potential to be so well handicapped. She's 17.0 or something, 17.5. Win in place, I think she's going to run a massive race.
17.5, yeah, is Atomic Lady, and pretty strongly argued case. Let's move on to another big field handicap.
Charlie thought that was such a bad case made for a horse that he just left.
You saw him mouth bullshit just before he left. Why that shout for Atomic Lady, did you, Charlie? Gone. Not having that. Oh, I don't know if can you hear us?
What's that, buddy? Sorry, my internet dropped out, so I missed part of Jonesy's long-winded sort of case for Atomic Lady.
Brutal. Waffly. I agree. Yeah. Don't worry, didn't miss much. Right. Let's move on to the international. We always gang up on Steve, don't we? It's fun. Jumbie is 7.2. Dark Shift is 7.4. Air to Air 9.6. Fresh 11.0. Ugh, that horse. Tactical 12.5. Aratus is 15.0. Bless him. Last time out winner. The horrible thing, given that. Anyway. How did he do that over shorter at Newmarket? 13.0. Chief of Chiefs 14.5. Amount of Colin Keane, bigger prices the rest. Go on, Rixie. You can make the case for the Ascot for the winner at the Royal Meeting.
Yes, I saw. Before I get on to Dark Shift, probably should mention here, I don't think there's an abundance of pace on here. and it's maybe been a little bit of a theme in some of the big handicaps in the straight course at Ascot this season. I think people just assume sometimes when you see a 20 plus runners, it's going to be run at a strong gallop. I'm not sure that's been the case. Roskin likes to go forward from 14. Lion Tower probably go forward as well from 18. I don't want to be drawn at anything very low here. I think if you're drawing like 1 to 7, something like that, you could struggle to get a decent setup here. So I was looking for a horse that kind of was drawn in the middle, maybe to high, and who again at course form, and that's Dark Shift. I suppose in theory, the drop in trip, given on paper there doesn't look to be lots of pace on, you'd have to be a little bit worried about Dark Shift kind of dropping back to 7 after winning the Hunt Cup over a mile. But I thought he did it so well that day. When I went back and watched the other night again, I forgot how big of a head start he gave the field, and I don't think they went such a mad gallop that it was a pace collapse. I was just really impressed with the head start he gave all the horses and picked them up well. Didn't get great cover probably early in the race, which I always think is a key factor at Ascot. And, we just travelled so well into it. It picked up and went away. The form has been given a boost since Intelligent has run very well at York. Sinjari has also won at Sandown, although Sinjari on the day wasn't drawing great. And I think Kieran Schumacher probably didn't realise what was happening on the far side of the track as quickly as he should have. But the form looks solid. He loves this track. William Buick replaces James MacDonald. Buick, probably a jockey who likes to go forward a little bit more in races. He'd probably, instead of a held up position, he'd probably maybe tracking leaders or midfield. So yeah, I just thought in an open race that the form horse who loves Ascot could probably hopefully go in again.
Yeah, I can see it. Back in trip, Dark Shift. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I think Rix is right with the pace synopsis, that there isn't much of it, and a lot of these do like to come from off the pace. Last year, Dania won this race, making virtually all the running, and so it's wrong to assume that because it's a big field, it will suit horses coming from off the pace sometimes. Oh, God, I know this horse is so frustrating, but I'm going to give him another. I haven't really been with him much during his life because he's been in group races, and I don't think he's quite good enough for that. But Tactical, I'm going to have to take a deep breath before I do this, but I do think he's got a good chance. I think his 6th in the Buckingham Palace was a good run because he didn't really get a clear run through. He was held up that day. But last time, over a mile on the straight course, and he doesn't stay a mile, on the round course rather at Ascot, in the Summer Mile, a Group 2, he was ridden much more prominently. And I'm hoping that they'll slot him in over this 7 furlongs, which is definitely his race. And he might be in the right place and might have things fall to him. Just be in behind the pace somewhere, just in front of midfield, and be able to pick them up because he's got the form to do it. He beat Naval Crown in a listed race in the European Free Handicap early last season, and then was running against the likes of Creative Force and Baid. And I know he's not very reliable. I know you've got to sort of bite your lip a bit when he's running, but I'm willing to give him another chance. Small stakes winning place Tactical, because I did find this quite a difficult puzzle to unravel, and I know he's got a lot of class.
Do you bite your tongue or your lip?
Bite. Don't know.
I'm special. I've done both.
Yeah, biting your nip just sound your nip. Anyway, right?
Bloody hell!
Let's move on. That's just awkward, isn't it? Right. Did you want to come back in with something, Rixie?
Yeah, sorry. Just probably should point out we're doing this Friday morning. Just looking at the going stick readings at Ascot. They've got the stand side 7.6, the centre 7.3, and far side 7.2. That probably suggests as well horses drawn low are going to be on the slower part of the track. And the other thing as well, amazingly, at Royal Ascot, the stand side wasn't really explored until maybe the last day. So, it could be fresher ground there than you'd normally expect for this time of year at Ascot, which I thought was interesting. So, just wanted to raise that potentially nonsense point, but we'll see.
No, I think it's interesting, Steve.
Yeah, I've always wanted to meet someone who thought the Going Stick was reliable. So thanks, Rixie.
Ooh.
And now, oh yeah, spicy. I'm going to make two silly cases before Charlie. Well, my best bet of the day is Raising Sand at the prices. I actually didn't get that far down, so I wonder if we can either bring back up the market or just have the prices confirmed for Raising Sand and Top Secret. So Raising Sand, first of all, at the start of the year when I was at Sandown, Jamie Osborne, there you go, ran two horses in a race there. He ran he ran Raising Sand and another horse who'd come from Hannon's, and he was, with regard to Raising Sand, he basically said that the mark needs to come down, and then we're going to send him back to Ascot for a 7 furlong or mile race if he can get into one. He's 110.0. He's not even been running that badly. He loves the track, and I just feel that this is a bit of a Jamie Osborne plot. I'd probably prefer him over a mile now. He's a bit older, but sod it. He's definitely worth the bet. It's just that's a mental price. 110.0 is ridiculous. Play as many places as you can. I think he's a stalking bet at that price. And also Top Secret on the line that Rixie was saying. He's drawn not right up against the stands rail because the stalls are in the centre, but he won't be too far from it. I thought Ross Collin was interesting. Whether or not they go to going forward, I don't know. But I would want to be sort of middle to high. And Top Secret is a previous course and distance winner who I don't know what happened at Salisbury. It all went wrong. I don't think that Epsom's his track. But if you go back to the Newbury run in May, it was perfectly good off this sort of mark. So, and Hayley Turner rides the straight course here very well. So I thought at 36.0, that horse was a massive price. But Raising Sand in the main at 110.0. Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, like Steve, I've gone with another horse that doesn't find winning very easy. Ropey Guest for the George Margesson, and he ran excellent in the Buckingham Palace behind the horse of George Bowie's Inver Park, was it? And then ran an excellent race in the Bunbury Cup where he did by far the best of the horses that raced up the middle of the track. It seemed to be very much favoured to be stand side in that race. He's got tons of very good Ascot form going back to the Coventry as a 2-year-old. Callum Hutchinson, who rode him last time out, got a good tune out of him, and he rides again. I think he's very good value for his £5 claim. And yeah, just for, again, he's got, like I say, the Ascot form is there for all to see. And whether he can win this, I'm not sure. But again, with the place options and the price he's a win and place bet for me for sure, because I think it's very difficult to see him out the mix. He seems tactically versatile as well. He's never made the running, but he can be ridden very positive and handy, and he can also come from off it if there's plenty of pace on. So for all that he's not a solid horse in that he doesn't find winning very easy, I think he's a solid horse to run a big race and be there in the place protagonist at the very least, Tom.
Yeah, and as far as playing in the place market goes, you're probably going to have down to 7 tomorrow, given the size of the field. Yeah. Hopefully 5, 6, and 7. So well worth doing. Right, last race we're going to preview is at York, and it's the York Stakes, the 3:15. Claymore is the horse at the top of the bet. Oh no, Dubai Honour just shortened up. So those, you can see 2.48 Dubai Honour to back, 2.86 to lay. They'll come a little bit closer together. It's an early enough market, this. We're 36 hours or so away from the race. So as far as the backside goes, 2.48 for Dubai Honour. Claymore is 2.66. Dubai Future is 5.1. Sabuska 12.5. Dark Moon Rising. I'll just get the Sabuska shout early on. I didn't want to play at the top of the market. Very small stakes on Sabuska for me, who I actually think is really worth a go over this distance. He's got good straight course form at Ascot over a mile, and he ran a really good race in Dubai, for example, in the turf. So I think he's sort of considered like he needs everything to go his way, and he probably does. I just think he's a bit underestimated against these, and I wasn't that keen on Claymore, who I thought it had it all work out absolutely perfectly last time and got a very good ride. Not sure how good the form is, and that probably leads into what Rixie might have to say. You're against Claymore.
Yeah, I'm at the prices. I'm going to lay Claymore. I just don't think he deserves to be that short. It's a bit kind of it's a tough one, this, because I think I'd be pretty sure on peak efforts that Dubai Honor is easily a better horse. Dubai Future is a better horse as well. Sir Busker's a better horse. But the thing is, tactically, he looks like he could get the race run to suit again. He could have his own way up in front, and obviously you've got to respect him and that. But like you've just kind of alluded to there, Tom, I thought last time out at Royal Ascot when he won the Hampton Court, they just literally handed the race to him on a plate. Reach of the Moon wasn't at his best. Maybe the ground was a little bit too quick. Didn't like how he was carrying himself late. King Max is a horse I think I've got a very good handle on. He's officially rated 101 going into the race. He probably ran to around that level as well. So look, just in terms of last time out, I had Claymore running to 105. Dubai Honor I had running to 113, and then Dubai Future I had running to 113, and then Dubai Honor when he was second to Seal Away in the Champion Stakes at Ascot last year, 119. But the key thing to this race is pace. I think Sir Busker loves a strong pace to run at. So does Dubai Future, and so does Dubai Honor because he's pretty keen. But I'm thinking surely one of those can turn over the fav. So I'm happy to lay him at that kind of price. And the other thing actually is here, I didn't realise, does Adam Kirby have some kind of agreement with Godolphin, or did he have the choice here? Because he's ridden Claymore most of his career, but he's riding Dubai Future here, which I thought was interesting.
That's weird. Yeah.
Wait, lads. Wait.
He won't do 18, will he?
Yes, that's a good shout. Yeah, it was at 8 stone 13. Yeah, that could be it actually.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, 9 stones is lowest. That's what it is.
Okay. Yeah, good shout.
Jonesy, you're with Claymore, are you?
I don't get all the negativity about Claymore, to be honest. Of course, Dubai Future is achieved more. Of course, Dubai Honour's achieved more. Of course, Sir Busker's achieved more. Because they're all a lot older and Claymore's only had 4 runs. And I just don't see what he's done wrong, to be honest. He won impressively first time up on his only start last year. He was second in Native Trail in the Craven, and we know how good that form is. The third horse there, Hu Yamal, finished second in the Derby. And then he went over to France for the French Guineas and had absolutely no chance from stall 16. So I just don't get the negativity towards Claymore. I thought that performance last time at Ascot, although he did get everything his own way, I thought it was a really good performance, and I don't think he got the credit that he deserves for it. I think he's a really nice, progressive horse who will get his own, or is likely to get his own way out in front again. And he's trained by someone who I think is absolutely top draw in Jane Chapelheim. So I just think he's very solid, Claymore.
And do you agree, Charlie?
Nothing more to add. Well played, Jonesy.
Yeah, Roo. I wouldn't be out against him, but I can. Yeah, I can. Anyway, we'll see.
Loving all the positive vibes from Jonesy there. He wasn't having me laying him at all, was he?
No, not at all.
No.
Right, that's the Claymore debate done. We move on to any other bets. So there's a couple here. Rixie and I sitting this out. Steve, you've got one at Newmarket.
Oh, he's on mute.
Steve, again.
So unprofessional.
Nothing more to add. Well done, Steve. Right, Charlie, you've got one. It's 5:20 at Ascot. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, again, whether it's going to be this time or just a horse to watch. Carazon for George Bowie. Ran well in the Flying Childers. Was well beat in the Shebley Park. But I thought the Ascot return a couple of weeks ago was actually a bit better than it looked. She was sort of making progress and then flattened out through the last furlong. I just wonder if she's come forward a little bit for that, and I think she has something to offer through this sort of second half of the season. So I'll be having a small interest on her on Saturday, and like I say, she'll be in the tracker for me to watch through the second half of the season, Tom.
See if I can get a price for you. Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, so early market, round about 10.0 for Corazon.
Yeah, win and place on Saturday.
I'll try again, Steve. Well done.
Now you know why I'm no good at in-running betting.
Yeah.
It's like a 4-mile chase in the mud at Newcastle. Yeah. And anyway, the 307 at Newmarket, Lethal Levi, good record at Newmarket, including last time out, made all the running in a big field 3-year-old handicap. It often is red hot. And I just think Lethal Levi is a very progressive, consistent sprinter who likes the track. And I just think he's too good for this lot. So he's at the top of the market, but I think he's still quite a nice price considering.
Okay, we move on to best lays, 3 lays. So, Charlie, you can just echo your case for Westover. What sort of price you have in mind?
Yeah, I mean, at 2.25, Tom, you know, and like I say, it's price related, really. I just think at that short, I'd be willing to take him on with the strength of competition. I think, as the boys echoed earlier, like, it's a cracking race. This, you know, top class 3-year-olds taking on the top class old horses, what we all want to see. And I just think at 2.25 or less, he's short enough with the strength of the opposition. And he might go and absolutely bolt up and prove that he's a superstar 3-year-old. But yeah, like I said, at that price, I'd be willing to take him on because of the merits of the competition against him.
Claymore, Rixie, what sort of price are you thinking? 2.5-ish, something like that?
I don't know. I could see. I thought maybe 15 to 8, 2 to 1, even bigger was probably more a fair reflection. Just on terms of ability, like I did say, it's a tough one to gauge because tactically it looks like he's going to get the run of the race. But in terms of just raw ability, I would easily have 3 horses here comfortably ahead of him. So at the prices, I'm more than happy to lay Claymore.
Okay, 3.0 or shorter to you and I. Best bets. Imagine Sully just there, like, how long's he been on it? All right, don't worry, you're all right.
Fractions, man. I apologise.
That's fine. Listen, your content's good enough. At least you unmute yourself. Best bets, gentlemen. I'll kick off. Only because I'm at the top of this list I have in front of me. Raising Sand is my best bet at 110.0. Try and get 7 places in the international. Silly price. That's the 3 o'clock at Ascot. Steve, your best bet?
Lethal Levi. I'm interested that everyone else is laying my tips this week.
That's Lethal Levi in the 307 at Newmarket. Declan Rix, your best bet, sir?
Yes, best bet for me goes in the Valiant Stakes at Ascot. It's going to be Zanbach. I think she's marginally already the best filly in the race, but she's probably the filly in the race most likely, open to further improvement as well. Looks like she'll get the race run to suit with a good gallop, so I'm hoping she'll get a little bit of luck from her draw and stall 1.
And Charlie, your best bet?
Lezu for me in the Princess Margaret. I'm at this stage of the season, I'm taking proven ability to beat potential.
Okay, I'll confirm that race for you. That's the 150 at Ascot. So 3 best bet from Ascot, 1 at Newmarket. That is us done and dusted. A reminder, Monday 5 o'clock for the first 3 days of the Qatar Goodwood Festival, and then Thursday for the final 2 days. We will get as much in there as possible. Maybe have a couple of Galway shouts as well for you, if you're lucky. We'll see. It's a big week next week. Rixie, Steve Jones, Charlie Poste, thank you very much indeed. Good luck with all your bets. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.